Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. You know, it was just a few years ago that Lincoln was on a mission to completely reinvent themselves by getting rid of those silly alphanumeric names and replacing them with good old-fashioned names. Now, of course, the Navigator was kind of the start of all that, but behind me, as you can see, Lincoln has sent me the 2021 Aviator, which has always been known as the baby Navigator. It was basically the return of this thing after a 15-year hiatus. Now, I've already shown you guys a review on the 2020 model. I proclaimed it to be one of the best American three-row luxury family SUVs. So as you can see, this 2021 model is pretty much unchanged aside from just some reshuffled packages and some new color options. And basically at the end of this video, we're going to find out, is the 2021 Aviator still one of the best American luxury crossovers? If you guys are looking to spend that kind of money, that's what we're here to find out. Now, as you can see, compared to the 2020 model I had earlier this year, this 2021 model is painted in this rather attractive shade of like a pristine white. It's a $600 upcharge. This is, once again, the reserve trim. The reserve trim is kind of like the mid-level trim. My tester, with all the options that it has, including the Reserve 2 package, options up to just over $75,000. So obviously this thing is designed to compete with the big boys, the Europeans. I consider it to be even nicer versus a Lexus RX and an Acura MDX. This is a step above what the Japanese are going to do. Really, the biggest competition that the Aviator is going to have is going to be the upcoming Genesis GV80, which as of this filming, I have not driven yet. I just spent some time with it when Genesis dropped it off at my house for a couple of hours. But as you can see, the Aviator still very much impresses with its exterior design. This thing very much has the newest face, corporate face of Lincoln. It worked extremely well on the Navigator. I think it works even better on the Aviator. Remember, this is now based off of the CD6 platform. It's a rear drive SUV architecture that it shares with the all-new generation Ford Explorer. This thing is either available in rear or you can get it for $2,500 all-wheel drive. My tester here, of course, has the illumination package. The illumination package basically upgrades the full LED headlights that do kind of a little matrix design dance that has like a little sequence dance. You have an illuminated Lincoln logo right there in the center, and you have LED fog lights, LED turn signals, and daytime running lights as well. It's all going to make this thing very, very attractive when you see it all lit up at night. Now, of course, with the Reserve 2 package that my tester has and the dynamic handling package, you get these 22-inch wheels, which are typically reserved for the Black Label model, but you can see the 22-inch wheels really fill out the wheel wells nicely. The handling package also includes an adjustable air suspension, which you're really going to like, of course. It's going to improve the handling, stiffen up the suspension if you guys put into the Excite, which is the sport mode. And as you can see, dimensionally, the Aviator is one large vehicle. This thing stretches at 199 inches long, so it's a good 6 inches longer than something like an Acura MDX or a Lexus RX. And its wheelbase at 119 inches long makes this one of the largest in the segment, which gives it pretty good interior space. And it also just reminds you that this is a rear drive vehicle. Now at the back, you can see the taillight design very much reminds me of a Saab kind of vehicle with the complete LED light bar that goes across and connects the taillight modules together. You have a full LED taillight, and you can see here it's a very clean, understated look. Love the quad outlet exhaust on this thing. My tester also has a towing package, which this thing will tow a maximum of around 6,700 pounds. Now, of course, if you want to open up the trunk area, this is an SUV, so this is a very important deciding factor. And the third row seat will come standard. With it up, Lincoln says you get around 18.3 cubic feet of space. If you'd like to power fold these third row seats down, you can see there's a button right here. That'll expand the cargo capacity to around 41 with the third row seat up. With everything down, including those second row captain's chairs, Lincoln says you get around 77 cubic feet of space. So a little bit less than the competition. I'm going to blame that, of course, on the rear drive platform, which makes this thing dynamically better versus a lot of the front drive competitors. So on the outside, the Aviator definitely looks the part in terms of being a luxury-oriented vehicle, but what about the interior? This is where buyers really want to see Lincoln sweat the details, especially when you're comparing it to its sister vehicle, the Ford Explorer. Now, as you can see, this one here is the Reserve model. It's got the brown interior, the brown leather interior with the two-tone combination. I also have the 30-way perfect position front seats, which these seats offer a massage. They're heated and cooled. They offer so many ways you can adjust them. They also have a three-person memory on the driver's side, which is really nice. Looking at this cabin, you can see the Aviator definitely hasn't changed. This was already a really nice interior when it came out. So for 2021, you can see Lincoln has pretty much kept it the same. My tester, being the fully loaded version, also has soft closed doors. So you can basically shut the door and it has a nice solid thunk to it, or if you want to just click it, you can hear the door has an actuator that it will just kind of suck it closed if you didn't actually close it all the way. You also see here, there's an electronic release here to open up the door. I love where Lincoln has positioned it. As soon as you grab it here, your thumb perfectly rests right there, and you can open the door. And if the power is out, you can also pull this manual lever right here, and that will also open the door for you in case the power is out. Now, starting the vehicle up, Lincoln puts the engine start stop button here, which is actually in a really great location. And the chime that you sort of heard, which I don't know why it didn't actually play the chime. It's deciding not to play the chime right now. It was created in sync with the Detroit Symphony. So of course Lincoln went with their own unique chime with this interior, which is definitely a very nice upgrade over what you get in some Ford products. And I've shown you guys this interior before, so this will just kind of be a brief overview on what I think of this interior a year later. You can see you've got a 10-inch touchscreen display here. This is Lincoln's Sync 3, their version of Sync 3. I don't particularly think it's differentiated enough from a Ford product, to be honest. I mean, yes, the graphics look slightly different, but the basic layout is the same. You have a factory embedded GPS, or you can also use the CarPlay, which is nice. There's no wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so that's a little bit disappointing that they don't do a wireless version of this. Instead, you've got to plug in your phone over here through the USB-C or USB port, and then over here you can see here's the key fob for the vehicle. I don't like how this is a Ford key with just a Lincoln badge on it, so I would like to see Lincoln do a different key. You can use your phone as a key to open and unlock this car and start it, which is very similar to what Tesla does. My Tesla has that option, the Reserve 2 package, which gives you that feature, but obviously I can't show you that because this is not my car. It's a press car. You have to have this has to be your vehicle for your phone to be paired to use as a key. You can see there's genuine leather stitching here on the dashboard material. There's some piano black trim. There's some real wood. This is soft touch over here, although it would be nice if this was actually leather stitched on that upper portion as well. The door panel here is stitched, but it's got a faux stitching right here. It's real leather over here with padding right there, and there's a nice little grab handle here. The window controls, they feel very similar to a Ford product, but they do have some additional chrome. They feel really nice and tactile. All 4 windows are power up and down. You can see this is how you adjust the seat controls here for the 30-way perfect position seats. You can kind of adjust the individual thigh bolster here if you guys would like to do so. This is to activate the massage. Push that button over there. You can see it pulls up on the screen here. Just hit the massage button here. You can choose whatever massage you'd like. There's 5 different modes of massage with 3 different levels of intensity, which is of course all very nice. When you put the vehicle into reverse, which Lincoln does it with these little push button controls there, you can see the backup camera or the 360 camera has excellent resolution. I think it's this is basically what I expect from a lot of its competition. This car also has the ability to parallel park itself for you, which is also nice. Down here you can see a lot of your controls for your climate control system. You've got 3-zone climate control. You've got heated and cooled seats, which is great. I love the piano black trim here, the metal look trim here as well, with some nice big cup holders there. A nice storage area there, of course, for your phone, which is nice. You've got an electronic parking brake over there, and then you have your drive mode selector here, which Lincoln lets you choose between like several different modes. There's also a deep snow. There's an excite mode, which is a sport mode. The air suspension is adjusted from this mode over here, so you can raise and lower it based on whatever driving mode you're in. Open this up, you can see there's a pretty good amount of storage in there. Your wireless phone charger is also in there, which is nice. The glove compartment, you can see, is damped, it's lined with felt, it's a good size. And then the one option that I really recommend in this car is that lovely Revel audio system. This Revel audio system offers 28 speakers in this car, and it sounds just as good, if maybe even a little better, than some of the other premium sound systems you get in its competitors. This is definitely better than Volvo's Bowers & Wilkins system, so I'm really applauding Lincoln for that. Above me, you can see there is a nice gigantic panoramic roof that goes all the way back to the 2nd row, but not into the 3rd row. But overall, this cabin, very, very nicely done. There is some cheap Ford part sharing in here, just a little bit. I also don't like these paddles here that feel a little bit cheap. But overall, I think Lincoln's done a fantastic job, just like on the outside, with making this interior feel uniquely American luxury. Here in the 2nd row, you can see my Tester has these nice pair of captain's chairs, which really makes it feel almost as comfortable, if not more comfortable, versus the front seats. Now, of course, you are missing the massage seats. These seats are not, power adjustable. They don't adjust in 30 30 different ways, but they do offer a heated and cooled function. And as you can see here, the third row is standard, which again makes this thing a 6 or 7 passenger seating configuration. But as you can see back here, it's a very nice place to spend time. Lincoln says you get around 39 inches of legroom back here, and there's pretty good amount of foot space. You have rear seat air vents back here, which is nice. The rear seats also offer a nice manual sunshade here to help block out more sun. You still have those metal speaker covers. The materials are also carried over from the front. It's all got that soft touch injection molded plastic. You have 2 map pockets here. And then you can see here, there's a teeny tiny screen here, which allows you to access your heated and cooled seat controls from back here. You can also adjust your climate from back here. It's a 3-zone climate control system. You can also adjust the audio system back here. It's in the front, and then change a couple of settings where you can kind of dim this screen if it's a little bit too bright. You've got kids back here. You've got a power outlet right here, which is actually two USB ports and a standard 110 volt power outlet, which is definitely nice. You've also got this center console here that my tester has as part of an option. You can open this up. There's pretty deep, good amount of storage. You have 2 cup holders over here, and then these buttons here allow me to basically open and close the shades from back here, which is nice. That allows me to kind of control how much privacy I want or how much shade I'd like. These bucket seats are also pretty comfortable. They have an adjustable armrest right here, of course, which is also nice. Now, getting back into the third row, Lincoln makes it pretty easy. Now, obviously, this console makes it impossible, or not impossible, difficult to get back here. But if you push this button here, you can see the seat slides forward to reveal a pretty good amount of space back here. Now, I'm going to climb back here to show you guys what the space is like. Now, there are some headrests here that you kind of have to flip up, but once you do that, let me get back here. Lincoln says there's about 30 or 29 inches of legroom back here. Now, these second row seats, they do slide forward, which you're gonna wanna slide them forward because as you can see, it's pretty tight back here in the second or in the third row. This is pretty much the norm for what you expect in the segment. So you have to give up some space here in the second row to actually give third row passengers some decent room. I'm surprised that Lincoln doesn't allow for 3 people to sit across here, which would allow this thing to be an 8-seater, but sadly that's not the case. So overall, if you guys need to actually fit adults back here, you might want to look at some of the competitors. This is really reserved for children. Now, as you can see underneath the hood of the latest Aviator, you're gonna get a choice of 2 different powertrains. This is the base engine, which should be suffice for most buyers. I have not yet driven the plug-in hybrid, the Grand Touring model Lincoln. So if you're watching this, please be sure to send me that vehicle because I would love to test that model out. Regardless, this is the one that most people are probably gonna buy. It's a 3-liter twin turbocharged EcoBoost V6. This is the same powertrain that also sees duty in the Ford Explorer ST. And in this vehicle, it still makes 400 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. It all goes out through a Ford-designed 10-speed automatic transmission. As I said before, rear or all-wheel drive is going to be standard. When you guys go for all-wheel drive, it drops the fuel economy to a still rather decent 17 in the city, 24 on the highway. As I said earlier, this thing will tow a maximum of 6,700 pounds. Now, if you guys go for the Grand Touring, that's a different review. It'll drop the towing capacity to 5,600 pounds, but that one offers nearly 500 horsepower and a ridiculous amount of torque, 630 pound-feet through the same 10-speed transmission. So I'd definitely like to drive that at a later date. This thing does weigh a relatively good amount. As this one sits, it's just under 5,000 pounds. So obviously, because the Aviator was all new for 2020, for 2021, the driving dynamics are going to remain the same. Now, I'm sad. I wish I also have driven the Grand Touring, the plug-in hybrid model, but because I've only driven the regular V6, this is really all I have to go against. And I have to say, the Aviator still very much impresses. I mean, I drove the new Explorer last year, and this thing definitely feels a step above the Ford. Even though it has the same powertrain as the Explorer, the air suspension in the Aviator is just so much more plush. This thing has a really great ride quality. It's very quiet in here. It's very serene. It doesn't feel dynamically very sporty because of the soft suspension. I mean, you can feel the fact that this is a rear drive platform now, which makes it feel a little bit more stiff, just makes it feel more premium. I wouldn't necessarily say it makes it feel more sporty. It just makes it feel more premium, the fact that this is a rear drive platform. It's just a really well-rounded car, a very smooth, refined, luxury-oriented vehicle. Now, in terms of visibility, you can see out of the Aviator okay. The front, there's a decent view. Out of the back window is definitely a little bit small because of that tiny rear window. Thankfully, all the driver assistance does come mostly standard on this car. I have the Lincoln Co-Pilot 360, where this car will essentially drive itself for you in rush hour traffic, which is nice. The seats right now, I'm sitting here getting a massage. I did take a pretty good amount of time to find my perfect seating position, which they call it 30-way perfect position seats. They don't call it like that for nothing. But once you find that and you have it set to your memory setting, it's really easy to kind of get in here and just kind of sink into the seat, and you feel really nice. It feels way more comfortable than what you find in the Ford seats, the Ford Explorer seats. But this one, of course, has 400 horsepower. It's got that new 10-speed transmission. Let me switch the drive mode selector over here to the Excite mode. And I want to remind myself how decently good the powertrain is in this thing. Now, the one thing I like about this V6 is how smooth it is, how eager it is to rev. It has plenty of low-end torque, just enough horsepower, and Lincoln says you'll get to 60 in the mid 5-second range. I think I've seen it as quick as 5.2, which does make this a little bit slower than a lot of the European competitors. An X5 is going to be slightly quicker, but this is faster than the Audi Q7, the last one that I drove with the turbocharged V6, which I found to be a little bit lacking. The Mercedes AMG 53 will probably be quicker as well, but this is gonna have enough power for most. It's a really nice sound too. I like the noise that the V6 makes. It just makes a really nice, refined, muted growl. It's not, again, going to think that, you're driving something like a performance SUV, but I think buyers are going to be pretty satisfied with the overall power of this thing. And if you plan to tow, remember this tows a maximum of 6,700 pounds. When you are driving the Aviator normally, you notice that the 10-speed automatic is relatively smooth. It does get a little bit confused at times when I was basically just flooring my foot. It has to figure out how to get out of its top gears, and it was a little bit sluggish. You do have these paddles on the wheel which feel a little bit cheap and flimsy, which they work okay. I doubt many buyers are going to be using paddles in an SUV like this. But they're there, and it allows you to manipulate the gears if you'd like to, going through all those 10 speeds. In terms of fuel economy, as I mentioned earlier, this is rated to get 17 in the city, 24 on the highway. In my week's worth of testing, I've been averaging around 15 around town, and on the highway, it got around 23 mpg. So not bad MPG figures. Premium is, of course, the recommended fuel. I would probably just say put premium in this thing. It's a luxury SUV. You need to do that. But overall, I haven't really had much complaints with the driving dynamics of this car. It's comfortable, it's smooth, it's refined, not the sportiest, has just enough power, comfortable seats once you have them adjusted properly, and visibility in here is okay out of the front. Out of the back, it definitely could be improved, but all the driver assistance in this car makes it a little bit easier to pilot on a daily basis. So earlier this year, when I finally had a chance to test out the all-new generation of the Aviator, I was pretty blown away. This is miles better versus its crosstown rival from Cadillac, the XT6. Now really, what's going to give the Aviator a run for its money, of course, is the upcoming Genesis GV80, which I haven't had a chance to drive just yet. But after spending some time with the 2021 Aviator, I think Lincoln has set the bar pretty darn high with this Aviator. It's still a very attractive SUV. It's still a very comfortable SUV. It's still a very practical SUV, and it also has a uniquely distinctive American feel to it. I love how Lincoln is no longer trying to be German, they're no longer trying to be Japanese, they're kind of forging their own American path, which is what's going to make this thing super unique. Lincoln last year sold a total of around 9,000 units here in the States, which is a little bit low. I'm surprised they didn't sell more, but remember, this is a pretty expensive SUV, and really, aside from a couple of cheap, Ford parts sharing here and there in the interior, it's very much a unique vehicle that I think will do extremely well, will continue to do extremely well in the segment, even with some of the new competition. Now, speaking of which, if you guys are looking to purchase this Aviator, what's it going to cost? This thing still starts at around $51,000 for the base version with rear-wheel drive. Add $2,500 if you guys want all-wheel drive. Now, of course, the Reserve model that I'm showing you here starts at around $58,000, and the Reserve 2 package, which basically includes the 22-inch wheels, the luxury package, which includes those 30-way perfect position seats, plus the dynamic handling package that this one has, and the exterior color upcharge. And it also includes that wonderful Revel sound system with nearly 30 speakers. It's just amazing the amount of luxury and technology Lincoln has put in this thing. This car stickers for a little over $75,000, which is a good chunk of change. It's going to be probably $5,000 more expensive than a fully loaded GV80, which that is going to be the biggest thing. Now, of course, you could also look at something like a BMW X5, an Audi Q7, or an SQ7, which I haven't had a chance to drive those yet. But the Lincoln definitely offers the similar amounts of interior space, similar amounts of luxury, and again, that uniquely American feel, which some of you may just prefer if you guys, want something that's very different from all the German SUVs or Japanese SUVs that you see in your neighborhood or in your neighbor's driveway. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Lincoln Aviator. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.